ああ、よかったですね。最後は晴れて、また移行になるんだ。また移行になるんですよね。はあ、
日帰りバスツアーでお越しのお客様にご案内申し上げます。お利用数は301でお越しのお客様はバスの出発時刻が16時。
So we're going to make parents and family, because we know what is the number one evidence-based intervention for children with autism? Taking care of the family, taking care of the parents. We need to do a better job of that. We're going to do that. We're going to expand the benefits that parents have available, the services that parents have available, and we're going to incentivize their use. And we're going to go to the providers that aren't doing it and say, why not? And we're going to hold them accountable for that. We're going to have a more holistic beneficiary-centered approach. What are we providing for the beneficiary? So it's not just going to be ADA anymore. I mentioned that that's the number 3 thing that parents found helpful. So we're going to incorporate occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, all the other things that are evidence-based that help children with autism. We want to bring that into one program, not 2 bifurcated sites like we have today, and really make it so we can treatment team, we're going to require a treatment team meeting and require a single team to be working with that child for the child's benefit and the family's benefit. That's going to be changed for us. We're going to expand respite care. We know these families do well when they have respite care, so we want to expand that benefit. We want to see if there's a way that we can legally offer that to our retiree families, not just our active duty families. We're working on that with our, there are always statutory issues, but as Admiral Bowen has told us many times, our director, tell me what's right, and then we'll figure out how to get there. So we're going to do case management, care coordination. We really want to speak that up and make sure again that we're looking at the child as the focus, and that everything's coming in to make that child, help that child reach their maximum potential, and that everything's focused on the child and not on the provider. Utilization management, I mentioned that already, right? So you have some kids that get 5 hours of ADA, and some kids get 40 hours a week. Well, there's no evidence that their outcome is different. The CDMRP study is hopefully going to help us get to some of that, but we can do some of that now too. That's why we have some outcome measures. One of the questions you're going to see in the next slide is what do you recommend you start measuring, so that we can identify and target the right services to the right child. Maybe this child's going to do better with occupational therapy, let's do that. And this child will do better with ABA, let's do that. With some combination, we need a better way to manage the utilization in such a way that it serves the child and the family. Quality oversight, we're going to have a big focus on that. One of the things we're doing on a large scale right here is moving to value-based care. It's not just autism, that's lots of things we do. We have a number of value-based care initiatives, and we're focused not only on incentivizing providers, but also incentivizing patients and encouraging them to use the highest value care. And that's what we built into this care demonstration, and we'll identify the things that are most needed for that child, and then set up the financials and some of the non-financial incentives too, so that we can ensure those children get the care, the best thing for them. So, let me just ask you, if you are aware of any research or any data that comes with the utilization management, how do we identify, because we know autism spectrum disorder is not one illness, right? It's a variety of different things that all kind of fall into the same thing, the DSM-5, the ICD, it's very simple right now, it's very systematic, not based on studies that are Thank you very much, Mr. John, Jerry. I would like to suggest it's actually something you did not even mention here, and that is identifying and treating other serious medical problems. Many discussions here at IAC about the case of children intestinal pain, various other causes of pain, cause for serious behavioral problems, and for many, just unidentified and untreated epilepsy is probably a major cause of death. Just as I mentioned, so there's that's fundamentally different. The next thing that I would question is, you talked about occupational therapy and speech pathology or speech therapy as being the 2 first things. ABA is the 3rd, and then the whole presentation was about ABA. And here at IAC, we have sat year after year, and we have watched billions of dollars be invested in autism research. And from some of those billions, we have evolved new therapies. And I think many people would say that ABA is more than 50 years old. It is like the salt drug. It is a treatment. There are many other things. It seems to me that you didn't mention trying to see this going to be a trend on treatment for autism. The Tri-Care Conference, and that's ABA. And I would very much hope that is not happening. Ask you, is evaluating ABA, speech and occupational therapy, really are studies that evaluate those things based on different clinician reports about the equal. And see, we've got 20, 30 years of all those things being administered in
professor. I just think that's fantastic. And I actually, can recall being at the Senate, hearing around TRICARE benefit and testifying at that, and having Kristen Gillibrand suggest that they review this and be conducted to understand the evidence base. So it's interesting to see how it's evolved. Just have a few comments. One is, and this was other people had mentioned this to me, so I'm saying it also on behalf of others, which is that I think it's important to keep in mind that ABA is a very broad term. Sometimes people think of ABA as discrete trial training or discrete trial teaching, but ABA actually encompasses a very broad range of evidence-based treatments, including the play-based and naturalistic types of developmental behavioral interventions that are now being used in many cases. The other thing I wanted to say is that although I completely agree the evidence base needs to be stronger, should be stronger, I guess I respectfully disagree that it's quite as weak as perhaps it was portrayed. That I do think there have been very high-quality randomized clinical trials, and that those trials have shown meaningful outcomes. So, for example, I'm aware of one very well a randomized clinical trial where the outcomes were IQ, language ability, adaptive behavior. Children were followed for 2 years afterwards after having received 2 years of intervention, and language, adaptive behavior symptoms all continue to show benefit, as well as analyses of the cost benefit. So even people on this committee tracked the services that children who received 2 years of intensive intervention, meaning, by the way, 15 hours, so it's not 40 hours a week for 2 years, that after that they required fewer services, and the cost savings was estimated to be about $19,000 a year after having received the 2 years of intervention, and it was estimated by age 10 that the costs were fully recouped because fewer services were required. The other thing is just to say that NIH has funded a number of studies that will be coming out in the next year or two. There's a study in PrEP, which is a multi-site randomized clinical trial of intensive early intervention, which I will just say that there was benefit found in meaningful outcomes, and I won't disclose too much because it'll be coming out soon. As well as there is a study funded by NIH that is I think close to being done, where they're comparing more play-based versus traditional types of ABA interventions at 2 dose levels, so that we can start to get some information about dose. Thank you.
Sure, I very much appreciate those the comments and the feedback. I agree that there are, for our review, we identified 6 RCTs that had in that 2013, actually I believe it was the 2015, but we had identified 6 RCTs that were as part of that medical benefit determination. While there were some great findings in there, one of our challenges is replicability. One study finds some great outcomes, and then we don't see another one that replicates the same criteria, the same outcomes, the same population, the demographics of the children studied. So yes, totally agree there are some good studies out there. It's the big picture here that we struggle with.
Just one more quick comment. I do remember at the time that I was working on this more actively in an advocacy role, Tom Insold made a comment to me as we were walking in to talk to some of the people who make the decisions around insurance, and he said, it's always amazing how mental health benefits require a higher standard. So, for example, if there's ever been a randomized clinical trial of speech therapy, so I'm just saying that there are 6 trials, so the outcomes were a little different. I think that the standard, for some reason, for these kinds of benefits is higher, and I just think it's unfortunate because a lot of people are waiting while we require these incredibly high standards.
And I think you're saying like good one. We certainly, we're always looking for new studies. I think we've probably seen the ones you referred to, but if you could send us the references, that'd be great. We'd appreciate that. So we can use at dha.acd@mail.mils, and we'd love to communicate with you more. I think that would be really helpful, so I'm asking you to do that. I will tell you that we do apply the same standards to the hierarchy of evidence that we mentioned. We apply to everything that we do. And I am aware of randomized speech and language therapy with some children within and normal. They compare the results, and yes, there are some ways that it can play the more complicated but I think we are pretty good about using the same standards I mentioned. Yes, something different standard for pediatric studies, because we know that the same level of evidence doesn't always exist for pediatric protocols. That doesn't mean that the treatment's not helpful. So I think if anything, we do have something different. And I think without saying higher standard for pediatric research than for adults, it's just a little bit different.
Sorry, I'll be quick, I promise. The comment about the number of hours is interesting for us right now, and this is why we're looking for medical necessity criteria, is that these providers in the community make these recommendations, and that's essentially what we go on. So there is nothing out there for us to go back and say, really, why did you decide 40 hours and then billing us for 10? If you thought 40 was medically necessary, we need to figure out a way to get 40 to get your choice. The logic to me is that you're providing what your recommendation is, just like any other service rate provider. You pass that, response rate. Now that's the different information, but these recommendations, we're trying to move so we can make better decisions for what is the right amount of care for our kids, and we just don't have that yet.
So I'm going to go to Dr. Reichert in a moment. I just wanted to make a comment, which is Resources Task Force for Screening for Autism. We've been engaging in a dialogue with them about the kinds of research that they would find compelling enough to change their recommendation to suggest in favor of universal screening for autism. And we have designed a research program to answer those questions. So I think engaging with you and other healthcare funders around the kinds of evidence that you would find compelling, would it be a repeat of the cognitive study that Dr. Dawson mentioned, etc., might help us, as in addition to, of course, awaiting the results of the study that you identified, which has the potential to replicate the earlier findings. So I think we continue this dialogue will help over time. In fact, I already sent an email to Anne, who runs the NIH-wide research program, to ask, well, what do we have in this area, and to send that information to you. So we'll engage in the dialogue going forward. I wanted to give Dr. Reichert a chance for the last question or comment before we move in on the call. Sorry, can you the mic?
Jim, I appreciated your presentation. I think one comment I'd have for you to
consider is, in terms of analyzing future risk, actually genetics is one of the best prognosticators about what else might happen to something that you might consider incorporating this, which is now quite low cost and would probably prevent something.
一番安くてテカテカ光る。
She said she's sorry she can't be here, but she's well occupied and doing well. I also wanted to welcome Nicole Williams and Rob Ring. I didn't get a chance to do that earlier. Wanted to mention that Marcy Ronyak and Tiffany Farchione are not able to be here because of the absence of federal appropriations for their agencies. They wanted you to know that they are not just missing the meeting for other reasons. And we will have a photo of the committee during this break because we have a number of new members and want to update our website. So if members would please step to the side here, we'll get that done as soon as possible. And then we'll come back. Josh, what time would you like?
I think we should be back at 11:10. So we're going to get started again. We want to make sure to use the full amount of time for committee business that we need. So the next on our agenda is committee business. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Dr. Daniels to proceed. Before I do that, I just want to mention that I have an obligation during the lunch hour over on main campus. So I'm going to be leaving a few minutes early from the business session, and I will be back hopefully not too many minutes late into the public comment session, but I'll be hopefully back here by 1:15 at the latest. During that time, of course, Susan will chair the session.
Thank you. Just to start off, thank you to the OARC staff again for all the work that they put into preparing for this meeting and preparing the many publications and projects that you're going to see presented here. In particular this time, we're going to talk about the IACC ASD Research Portfolio Analysis Report, and thank you to all of them for all their work on this. So first I wanted to talk about the new option that the IACC has for submitting public comments. Last time we had a discussion about public comments, and particularly about remote public comments. So just to review, since 2008, the IACC has had two methods for public comment. One is written comments, which are a form of remote public comments that can be submitted in advance and can be sent from anyone around the country, around the world. We also have oral public comments that are presented in person at the meetings. And that these two methods are used by the vast majority of federal advisory committees across the government. And there are, on the GSA website, they say over 1,000 federal advisory committees. We looked at a sampling of these federal advisory committees and did find that they use these traditional methods of public comment. So we wanted to explore whether we could offer an additional option for public comment. So we've established a new one. It's called the live feedback form. This option will provide additional flexibility to those who are not able to attend the meetings in person to submit a written comment and that cannot submit a written comment in advance. The live feedback comments can be submitted online from 9 to 11 a.m. on the day of the meeting. And today it's already past 11 a.m., but we're going to keep it open just a little longer so that anyone who would like to submit a comment via this online form can do so, and I'll show you that in a minute. And these comments must adhere to the guidelines and will be collected and presented to the IACC before the public comment session in the afternoon. So IACC members, you will receive a packet during the lunch hour that will have these live feedback comments in it. So just to show you the form, when you go to the IACC webcast that you can access from our website, from the IACC website or from NIH Videocast, when you go down to the bottom of the videocast, there's a little link that says live feedback, so you have to click on that. And then it'll open up this form, and you can submit a comment right online. So the advantage of this is that you don't have to do it in advance to a deadline. So this can be done on the day of the meeting, and you might even be able to comment on early sessions of the meeting. And for the guidelines, again, there's a link there that's provided for you. So we hope that this will provide a little bit of additional flexibility for those who are listening remotely. We really appreciate the many people around the country who do listen to our meetings and have important feedback and information to share with the committee. I also wanted to give you an update on visibility accommodations, as this was a topic of discussion at a previous meeting. Just to reiterate, closed captioning is always available through the NIH Videocast, and you can access it through the little CC button at the bottom of the Videocast, or it might be at the top, I think it's at the bottom of the Videocast, and that has always been there since we started videocasting back in 2009. We also initiated a new feature, Quiet Room, started in April 2018 at our IACC meetings and events, and to date we only have one user of the Quiet Room in one of our meetings, but perhaps it hadn't been publicized enough. We did put it in our materials, but just wanted to announce it here that we do have a Quiet Room for those who might need it, and you can ask for information about it from any of the staff who are in the meetings. We also started in October 2018 providing cart services, as this was brought to our attention that it might be helpful. To my right, and anyone who needs it can use it. Today it looks like we have no users in the room. However, there may be people logged onto the app, and you're welcome to use that. If you need information, please email our office about that for future meetings, and any other disability accommodations may be made available upon request. So just moving right along, I'd like to make an announcement that we have the 2016 IACC Autism Spectrum Disorder Research Portfolio Analysis Report that has just become available. This was just released. This is the first portfolio analysis report that is coding projects to the 23 new objectives in the strategic plan that you all put together in 2016 and 17. And to accompany the report, detailed 2016 project data are now available in the Autism Research Database that is accessible via the IACC website, so you're welcome to look at that. And members, you have a draft or a preview copy of the report at your table. We have not done the full printing run of this. If there's anybody out in the audience who wants a paper copy, please leave your address with us and we'll mail it to you. Or anyone out there in the public who's listening in, you can just email us and send us your address and we'll send it. So just to give you very brief highlights of the report, the analysis includes data from 18 federal agencies and private organizations. And in the 2016 data set, we found that research funding totaled $364 million and included 1,360 projects. And federal agencies supported 80% of the overall funding that was analyzed in this report, which is similar to previous reports. This was the 9th report that we've done in OARC for this. So in 2016, federal agencies and private organizations supported research in all 7 of the IACC strategic plan question areas. And in 2016, question 2, biology, continued to be the most highly funded research area. And this pie chart shows you in more detail what the funding was for each section. I wanted to give you an update on the budget recommendation that the IACC made in the strategic plan. The 2016-17 IACC strategic plan calls for a doubling of the 2015 ASD research budget to $685 million by 2020, and this would cover federal agencies and private organizations that are funding research. To accomplish this goal, the committee recommended a nearly 15% annual increase in ASD research funding. And just to give you an update on what is happening with that, since 2015, funding for autism research has increased 6.3% in funding. So there's a similar figure inside the report. This table, I'm not going to give you all the information, but I put it in the slide set. It does not appear in the report, but it gives you an update on the funding levels for each of the strategic plan objectives and the project counts. And so anyone who wants to go back to this information can find it on the slide set when we post it on the web. In addition, the 2016 IACC ASD Research Portfolio Analysis Report includes a map displaying institutions involved in ASD research across the U.S., a list of countries that are receiving U.S. funding for ASD research, funder contributions aligned with the 7 strategic plan questions to give you an idea of the mission areas that are being accomplished by each of these funders, a subcategory analysis for each strategic plan question to show you what types of scientific and services research are being done, and ASD research funding trends from 2008 to 2016 arranged by strategic plan question. And at the bottom we have a link to the full report, and you're welcome to look at it there, and we have information that's also been sent out and will be going out about this report to make it available to everyone. Next, I'd like to share with you an update on the Autism Cares Act report to Congress, which is required in the Autism Cares Act. So this report will detail progress on activities related to ASD and other developmental disorders across the federal government. On behalf of HHS, OARC is coordinating responses from federal departments and agencies, and we've prepared this report. The report is in the final stages of completion, and we expect this report to be out shortly. And so you can be looking for this, and we will, of course, share it with you at the April IACC meeting. In addition, I wanted to share an update with you about the IACC strategic plan updates, which is required by the Autism Cares Act as well. And we discussed this last time. The committee agreed that we would provide a short summary report of activities from 2018 within the IACC and progress that's been made on the strategic plan. And this report would include a summary of health outcomes, working group activities, and the workshop that was just held, a summary of the IACC portfolio analysis report, which I just shared with you, and a summary of the Autism Cares Act report to Congress. And so committee members will receive a draft for review and comments. The reason that you have not received it before this meeting is because we are waiting for this Autism Cares Act report to Congress to be cleared and published before we can share the information with people who are not part of the federal government. So we hope that we will be sending that to you shortly, but we have it basically ready to share with you as soon as that happens. And we expect the final publication to be in spring 2019, so we'll also be presenting that report to you in April. Other reports that OARC has in preparation include the 2017 IACC Portfolio Analysis Report. We really appreciate the contributions of many federal agencies and private organizations to this report. We've collected the data already, and we expect the final report soon, so we hope that this spring we will be able to share that report with you. And we also, that one is not expected in spring, that's expected this year. In the spring, we expect to share the 2016 International Portfolio Analysis Report with you, and that covers the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. And we will give you an update on that as soon as we have that.